We all need insurance, but what do you do when everywhere you turn, cost is going up? All types of cover have increased, but it is the rise in car insurance that's off the charts.
Mine went up this year.
Yeah, mine went up as well. Yeah.
It's got up €600.
I think as more people are renewing their policies, they'll actually find how devastatingly high the insurance policies are for people.
Last year it was 1,700. This year it's 4,600.
So
Exactly.
it's gone up €3,000.
The cost of car insurance in Ireland increased by over 35% between May of last year and May just gone. 35% in 12 months. The insurance companies will say, well, claims have gone through the roof and we weren't charging you enough anyway a few years ago. But are they telling the truth or taking us for a ride?
With far less competition, the insurers are massively increasing the premiums. We think it's outrageous.
The average driver has been hammered by rising premiums, but many Irish businesses too, those which rely on the roads to make a profit, have hit a major speed bump.
Get the quote from them, and if it's too high, I'm unemployed. I give back the car and I go to the social welfare.
Tonight on Insight, we look at what's behind these massive price hikes, whether the insurance industry is taking liberties, and if there's any light at the end of the tunnel for Ireland's motorists.
It's not for me to speculate in terms of what direction premiums will go, whether that's up or down.
Here is why your insurance quote has gone through the roof, according to the insurers. Sean Quinn, once Ireland's richest man, decided back in the 1990s to get into car insurance. Over the years, Quinn Insurance aggressively drove down its prices, forcing their competitors to do the same. Then out of the blue, the crash came. Quinn and others were left exposed. Quinn Insurance couldn't survive. Setanta Insurance, which was regulated in Malta, collapsed. Then in 2013, it was revealed that the biggest operator in Ireland, Royal Sun Alliance, hadn't set aside enough money and needed a massive multi-million-pound bailout from its parent company in London. And just last month, Enterprise Insurance, regulated in Gibraltar, was told to cease trading.
We've had a history of low premium charges from insurers, resulting from the fact that they have undercharged in a race to the bottom in terms of competing for market share, and also they have under-reserved. There are new rules now in relation to the amount of money they have to have in reserve. So as a result of their activity over a number of years, they drove a number of competitors out of the market. Insurers like Quinn, like Setanta, that used to be available for the purchasers of motor insurance in Ireland, are now gone. Now, however, with far less competition, the insurers are massively increasing the premiums, 20, 30, 40% per annum.
It has gone up, and I was told the reason for it was the large amount of claims.
It's obviously gone up so much that it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount.
It's one of those fees that you have to pay. Nobody likes it, and I think insurance gone up everywhere.
The legacy of all this turmoil in the industry is threefold. The Quinn saga means that every Irish insurance customer must pay a 2% levy. Setanta left a €90 million black hole that's still to be sorted out in the courts, and RSA's bailout led to higher prices. If this weren't enough, says the industry, the cost of motor claims is on the rise. A report by the Court Service shows a 7% increase in personal injury awards last year.
What we've seen in the claims environment within Ireland is that the number of claims has gone up, the legal costs associated with those claims have gone up, and the level of awards in relation to those claims have gone up. And these have been verified by independent statistics. And all these increases are ultimately feeding through, and that is what's ultimately giving us the current cost of premiums for motor insurance.
But does all of this justify putting up premiums by a whopping third, or is something else going on? Damien O'Kelly is from Enfield in County Meath. He got a bit of a shock recently when he went to renew his insurance.
Well, I was paying $8.40 last year for fully comp, and when I went to get a policy this year, I actually thought I misheard. I thought it was 600 or 590, and I asked him to repeat the quote, and he said 1590, and I nearly fell off my seat. And I was like, how is that possible to jump that amount? And I said, oh well, that's the market now. Things have changed, you know, and no claims, no crashes. It was just literally that the car was 10 years old, and they really didn't want to deal with me anymore. And I think as more people are renewing their policies in the following months, they'll actually find how devastatingly high the insurance policies are for people.
Ordinary motorists have taken quite a bit of pain already this year, but businesses too now have to contend with this massive new cost, particularly those who are dependent on the road. There's not been as many taxis around Limerick lately. That's according to Tom Hannon. He has 8 cars on the road and will have to renew his fleet's insurance in just a couple of weeks' time. With a massive hike in prospect, he may have to let drivers go. So Tom, explain to me the insurance situation for you and your business.
It's in 3 years I went from €7,000 to €56,000.
And that's to cover what exactly?
Cover 8 cars.
So you were paying less than €1,000 per car 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
And now you're paying a vast multiple of that.
Yeah, you know, I'm trying to run a small business, and like I've been crucified.
Yeah.
But I think what they're not telling us is it's the floods that are causing all the trouble.
So you think they've accumulated costs elsewhere and they're pushing it on?
They're pushing onto the motor.
Because they know people have to drive their cars. What does it mean for your business if you have to pay that sort of insurance? Will you have to take cars off the road?
Well, it looks like it'll happen. Yeah, probably, because it doesn't look like you're going to get insurance now. You know, it doesn't look. You can't try. And I've a couple of fellas. There's a fella in England. They're trying to sort out something at the moment in England. So
you'll have to wait and see.
Wait and see.
So does that mean you're going to see taxi drivers getting out of the business? You're going to see fewer taxis in Limerick?
Oh yeah. That's a certainty. That's happening as it is.
And I suppose you spend so much time on the road. Would you be worried that there'll be more uninsured drivers out there because they're not prepared to pay the premiums and they take the risk?
There are drivers driving around without insurance. Yeah. You know, there's fellas there, and they're second drivers in cars, and they're not insured to drive. You know, there's 2 or 3 of them under one car, and there's only one insured.
At the rank beside the train station, they're understandably nervous.
My percentage increase is funny in the sense that last year I started driving on my own insurance again and put my own plate back on the road, and it was 1,700. This year it's 4,600.
So
exactly.
It's gone up €3,000.
Right, there you go. And they accepted my no claims bonus last year for fleet insurance. This year they don't.
Does it make you think twice about staying in the business?
It makes me think very, very hard about it, because it's extortionate, the money that they're charging us. You know, I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
do you think they have a point though, that the claims are going through the roof and they have to cover themselves?
It's all very well covering themselves, but I mean, why are they settling out of court? Why do they not go through the court system?
When I renew it this August, it's going to go to 2,500 to 2,700.
So they'll have doubled it?
Practically.
And
with no accidents, no claims.
Yeah, so when you query this and say, you point that out to them and say, look...
They said that they need this reserve to cover people that, we'll say, accidents of people that didn't have insurance and all that. But yet I'm there 7 years, never had an accident.
And when they say that to you, do you believe them when they say, look, we have to protect them?
There's nothing I can do. Yeah. I'm out of work otherwise. Basically, this August, if it's too high, I'm unemployed. I give back the car and I go to the social welfare.
Just half an hour out the road from Limerick and you'll encounter an industry acutely affected by premium increases: car rental. Here at Shannon Airport, hundreds of people hire cars every day of the week, and they too are paying the cost of increased insurance premiums. But big rental companies can afford to pass on less of that cost to customers, leaving the smaller indigenous rental companies under pressure. In an industry dominated by global giants, Dan Dooley Car Rental, with its 1,500 cars, is Irish owned and operated.
Well, we rent cars for tourists, locals, and that's what our main business is on it.
And in terms of foreigners, in terms of tourists, I'd imagine this part of the year is a pretty busy one, isn't it?
July and August would be peak periods, you know, it would be just full of Americans, Europeans coming in. Summertime in Ireland is good fun.
How has what's happening in the motor insurance industry affecting what you do?
Well, if our insurance increases in price, the price has to relate down to the price of the car. So our insurance is up this year at 20%, so it has to be divided on.
So you'd imagine somebody sitting in America planning their holiday to Ireland or thinking about going to Ireland will go, right, well, we have to take into account, we have to rent a car.
Rent a car.
They look at the prices and they go, Ireland's a bit expensive.
It is, but Ireland is expensive, and insurance is the most expensive thing in this game.
So you're a small Irish operator, you're going up against these big guys who have the clout, who have the leverage. That puts you at a disadvantage, doesn't it?
Of course it would, yeah. Dan Dooley's the only Irish-owned company, fully Irish-owned company. We're not a multinational. You won't get Dan Dooley in London, Lanzarote. You'll get the Avis in the budget. So we're a really Irish company, Irish all out. And if you're Hertz or Budget or Avis, and the bigger companies have bigger clout when they're going to the big insurance companies. Mm-hmm. They can go in, okay, we have X amount in Ireland, we have Y amount in England, we need a cut.
But this will be a challenge.
This will be a challenge to him. Every year, insurance is a challenge.
So with everybody feeling the squeeze, what can be done? After the break, we meet one man using cameras to bring his premiums back under control.
It has gone up, yeah, but they have said that it's because of all of the fraudulent kind of claims as well.
There's no particular reason why it has gone up, I don't think. Well, they haven't given any particular reasons.
It makes me angry because once again we're being ripped off.
So what is to blame for the 35% increase in motor insurance premiums? According to the industry's lobby group, Insurance Ireland, it's because claims have become bigger.
If we as a society decide we want to pay the current level of awards, and as a society we want to pay the current legal fees, well then that has to feed through into premiums. And to give you an example around the level of awards, if you look at whiplash, which accounts for 80% of all total claims for motor insurance, whiplash in this country, the typical award is €15,000 compared to the UK where it's €5,000.
This is contested by Ireland's lawyers. The Law Society says it isn't claims that are forcing up prices, but the pursuit of profits.
The insurance industry tends to blame everybody but themselves for it. I fear that premiums, because of the way the insurance industry has behaved for so many years in cutting premiums and under-reserving and driving competitors out of the market, I fear that premiums are going to go up. And in fact, we have commentary by agencies like the Central Bank of Ireland, which are acknowledging that this is the insurance industry creating more profitability for themselves and a better balance sheet for themselves. Ultimately, these are economic market forces at work, and I fear that personal injury or at least compensation and insurance premiums are not going to go down anytime soon.
Ireland's regulators surely cannot escape blame in all this. After all, the problems at Quinn, Setanta and RSA were on their watch. The central bank declined to be interviewed for this programme, but gave us this response. The central bank does not have a role in relation to pricing or competitiveness. Our role, it says, is to ensure firms assess risk appropriately and offer insurance at a price that adequately takes into account the conditions prevailing in the market, such as increasing claims cost. So what about the government? Is it going to stand by while voters get ripped off? In June, the Minister for Finance said a task force had been established to review the car insurance industry. It met for the first time recently.
If you live in a big city where public transport's readily available, then you mightn't be too worried about increases in car insurance. But if you live in rural Ireland and you need to go to work, for most people, you need a car.
Car insurance has become a potent political issue. New Fine Gael TD Tom Neville has raised the effect it is having on rural Ireland.
This is having a serious impact on people. County Limerick is a rural constituency and the car is a necessity, not a luxury.
Driving back from the Dáil to his Limerick constituency, I caught up with him at the Obama Plaza station at Moneygall.
As I said in my speech, like, we don't have a Lewis, you know, we don't have a Dart in County Limerick. And as I said, to get a car is an essential to get to work, to get to school, even to get to college.
Explain to me, when you came back from Australia, you'd emigrated during the economic crisis, you came back to Ireland, you tried to insure your car and you got a bit of a shock, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a total surprise, but went out, bought the car. Obviously when you come back into rural Ireland, I had to go back, find a job, look for work. Even looking for work, I needed a car to get around, to get to an appointment on time, to get your job interviews on time, to get to work on time. Rang the insurance company. I'd been driving since 1996 or 7, thought nothing of it. Rang the insurance company. I was paying maybe $550 before I left in circa 2009, and when I came back in 2013 I was being quoted astronomical figures of $1,500 and $1,600 because my no claims bonus was gone because I was out of the country over 2 years. Okay. Even though I could say to them that I had insurance in Australia, the motor market, particularly motor insurance, which affects, I suppose, rural Ireland, has recovered considerably since the economic recession. But this year, the first 3 months of this year, we're at 68% of the total sales of vehicles in 2012. That is a phenomenal difference in 4 years.
A lot more cars, a lot more
drivers. A lot more cars, a lot more drivers, you know, and every car has to have an insurance policy. So there's a lot more policies going around, but that is never ever stated by the organisations or by the insurance companies that said it. So, you know, there is an element to it, but I think there may be a bit of commercial advantage being played here as well in relation to what they're trying to do.
He's right in that our economy has improved. We have more cars on the road, but equally with that we actually have more frequency of claims. We have more accidents. We have the legal costs associated with those increased awards and increased frequency of claims are driving premiums. So that's only one side of the equation. You get more economic activity, you ultimately get more claims.
In order to arrest the damage of rising insurance costs, some businesses have had to be inventive. Martin Ryan and Sons have 50 trucks on the road every day of the week, here at home, Britain and across Europe. Video cameras are now fixed to every vehicle.
The insurance situation for our company over the last 2 years, we've been hit with enormous increases, and especially at our last renewal was up in 60 to 70% of an increase.
70%?
Yeah.
So obviously you have to do something about it, so what did you do?
Well, we've worked to protect our business in that we've installed cameras in our trucks in order to protect both our drivers and ourselves on the road, but also to show the insurance companies that we're taking measures to protect our business, to make it more attractive and more insurable.
So this is fairly typical of your camera setup?
It is our initial setup, yeah, where we have one camera here just inside the windscreen, looking forward, and we have another camera here then on the side of the truck, just inside the fairing here, pointing back along the side of the lorry. So it's on continuous record while the truck is moving.
And it's helped you out on a couple of occasions already?
It has helped us, yeah. It has helped on a couple of occasions because it just shows that the truck isn't always wrong. Looking at a simple incident on a site here where he reversed his digger straight into the side of the lorry. Our driver couldn't get his attention because he was looking away from our driver when he was reversing. And only for having the cameras,
what would have happened?
It would have been our word against theirs.
What's happening here?
This here just shows a tyre blowout on the middle axle of the lorry, and what it also, where it helps us is it helps us with a claim with the tyre provider.
Because when a tyre blows out, it causes damage all around it.
A lot of damage, yeah. There was up in €2,000 worth of damage done to the truck on that incident.
So you're able to go
back to the tyre provider to put in a claim for the damage done.
While the likes of Ryan Hollidge are attempting to tackle claims at their source, civil servants at the Department of Transport aren't fully convinced that big claims are fully to blame for price hikes. Internal documents released under Freedom of Information show that they're questioning where the big rise comes from, given what is described as a modest rise in actual claims. The department is also worried that motor insurers are now imposing higher premium rates to return to profitability or to boost profitability. It's a murky picture.
There are unanswered questions within the insurance industry. They don't reveal an awful lot of their internal figures. They don't publish them. So we have to take a certain amount on trust, but I think people are beginning to reduce their level of trust in the insurers. A revelation of those figures, I think that would be a useful first step.
The exotic sounding Book of Quantum is a guide to what sort of compensation people can expect to get depending on the nature of their claim. The latest edition is due shortly.
In getting to the revised Book of Quantum, the insurance industry shared all its claims information for the years 2013 and 2014. We passed all our claims to the Injuries Board. The Injuries Board also assessed their claims, and they also assessed the claims that were given awarded by the courts.
So if awards increase in the next book, prices could well rise again. Matters are also complicated by the recent collapse of Enterprise Insurance, which had 14,000 customers here. How many claims relating to that will have to be paid for?
It's not for me to speculate in terms of what direction premiums will go, whether that's up or down. What we recommend to people to do is to actually shop around. Don't take your first quote, shop around.
Throw it in there, all right?
For Martin Ryan, competition can't come quick enough.
I don't think they're treating people fairly. Until we can get a new insurance provider into the market here, like what happened when Quinn entered the market years ago, until we can get something like that happening here in this country, we are kind of being held over the barrel.
You can't blame Irish consumers for feeling under pressure. After water charges, property tax, rent increases, it feels like somebody is always putting their hand in their pockets.
Well, it's hikes, and then there's also cuts. You know, like people are getting hit with higher rents, and it's literally how long can people survive with a continuously hike in prices, either insurance, food, energy. It's just literally a war on all fronts for Irish people.